In the twilight of King David's reign, beneath the golden domes and amidst the whispered prayers, a storm brews within the walls of Jerusalem's royal palace. This is no ordinary royal saga. Here, in the opulent yet secretive halls of power, the very heart of a dynasty is tearing apart. Tamar, shrouded in dignity, becomes the nucleus of a scandal that will forever mar the royal lineage. Her brother Amnon, consumed by forbidden lust, sparks a chain of retribution. Absalom, dashing and vengeful, not only seeks justice but the throne itself, his path marked by blood and betrayal. Adonijah, blinded by ambition, underestimates the lethal stakes of power play. Solomon, the wisest of all, inherits not just a kingdom, but a legacy of strife that threatens to crumble his empire. Each secret whispered in these ancient halls carries the weight of destiny. Every covert glance, every silent pact, is a loaded dice cast in the Game of Thrones. In a kingdom where the bond of blood is thinner than the quest for power, the tragic ends of David's sons unfold, a testament to the fragility of human grace under the shadow of divine judgment. In the quiet corners of the palace, where whispers travel faster than the wind, Tamar, a princess of unparalleled beauty and gentleness, becomes the unwitting herald of her family's downfall. Her tragedy begins not with an enemy's sword, but with the dangerous obsession of her own brother Amnon. Amnon, tormented by a forbidden desire for Tamar, concocts a deceitful plot. Masked as a plea for sisterly care when stricken by illness, he lures Tamar into his quarters, a decision that will echo through the annals of history with sorrow and shock. The palace walls meant to protect become witness to Tamar's ruin. Her pleas dissolve into the air, unheard, as Amnon's actions shatter the royal family's veneer of sanctity. Cast aside in the aftermath, Tamar's desolation is a silent scream against the injustices suffered at the hands of those meant to love and protect her. Her plight kindles a fire in the heart of Absalom, her full brother, setting him on a path of vengeance that will ripple across the kingdom. Absalom waits, his fury brewing over 2 long years, plotting retribution that will culminate in bloodshed at a feast meant for celebration. The death of Amnon at his hand is not just fratricide, it is the opening act of a larger rebellion that threatens to tear the very fabric of David's reign. In the wake of his brother Amnon's death, Absalom's heart grows colder, his ambitions hotter. From the ashes of family tragedy, he rises not only as an avenger, but as a contender for the crown itself. Absalom, with his striking presence and silver tongue, subtly sows seeds of dissent among the people, questioning David's justice and leadership. His charm is his weapon, and with it he slowly carves a following substantial enough to challenge the throne. Declared king by his supporters in Hebron, Absalom sets in motion a civil war that divides a nation. David, now an aging king, finds his greatest threat comes not from without but from within, his own beloved son. As the conflict reaches its zenith, the battle of the forest of Ephraim becomes not just a clash of armies, but a heartbreaking father-son conflict. Absalom, despite his army and aspirations, finds his fate in the tangled branches of a terrible misfortune. Trapped by his own flowing locks, a symbol of his pride, Absalom hangs suspended, a tragic figure caught between the heavens and the earth. His vulnerability leads to his demise at the hands of Joab, King David's general, despite David's explicit orders to spare his son. "O Absalom, my son, my son!" David's lament echoes through the palace, a father's grief for a lost child overshadowing even the victory of a civil war. In Absalom's fall, David sees not just the loss of a son, but the fracturing of his family and kingdom, a fracture that will challenge his remaining heirs and their quest for power. With the dust of rebellion still settling, Adonijah, another of David's sons, sees an opportunity amidst the chaos. With David aging and weakened by recent events, Adonijah's desire for the throne grows. driven by a belief that he, as the eldest surviving son, is the rightful heir. Adonijah, not shy of his intentions, holds a lavish feast to declare himself king, a mirror to Absalom's earlier proclamation. Yet he fails to invite key figures like Nathan the prophet and Benaiah, a commander of David's troops, alongside Solomon and his mother Bathsheba, revealing the fractures within the royal family. Alerted to Adonijah's maneuvers, Nathan and Bathsheba hasten to David, urging him to fulfill his promise to anoint Solomon as the next king. Their words, laced with urgency, remind David of the divine choice and his own oath. In a swift and public ceremony, Solomon is anointed king, his ascension witnessed by Jerusalem's populace. This act not only solidifies Solomon's claim, but also publicly undermines Adonijah's ambition. Adonijah, confronted with Solomon's legitimate ascension, seeks mercy at the altar, gripping the horns of the altar in a desperate plea for forgiveness. Solomon, now king, shows clemency, sparing his brother on the condition of good behavior. However, peace remains tenuous. When Adonijah later requests to marry Abishag, David's former companion, Solomon perceives it as a veiled threat to his reign. The request seals Adonijah's fate, leading to his execution, a grim reminder that in the game of kings, even a semblance of threat can be lethal. Solomon steps into his rule with wisdom and a heavy heart, knowing that the throne he inherits is steeped in family blood and tragedy. As Jerusalem looks to a future under his guidance, the echoes of past conflicts linger, a solemn reminder of the cost of power. King Solomon ascends to the throne amid a landscape scarred by familial discord, but ripe with potential. Under his rule, Jerusalem flourishes like never before, a beacon of wisdom and wealth, famed for its majestic temple and the king's unparalleled wisdom. Gifted with divine wisdom and ruling with an iron scepter, Solomon's decisions are both revered and feared. His fame attracts visitors from distant lands, eager to witness the king's legendary sagacity. The Queen of Sheba, with her retinue, stands testament to Solomon's far-reaching renown. Yet, beneath the golden surface, the seeds of discontent grow. Solomon's alliances, formed through numerous marriages to foreign princesses, introduce a myriad of gods into Israel, diluting the pure worship established by his father David. These alliances, while politically astute, sow the seeds of idolatry, leading many of his subjects to question their king's adherence to their covenant with God. The spiritual unity of Israel begins to fracture, a silent yet profound threat to Solomon's legacy. Moreover, the splendor of Solomon's projects comes at a heavy price. The burden of labor and taxation weighs down on the common people, stirring whispers of rebellion. Jeroboam, an ambitious official, becomes a focal point for these brewing tensions. As Solomon's reign nears its twilight, the whispers turn into murmurs of revolt. The once united kingdom faces the specter of division, a division prophesied as divine retribution for Solomon's turn from absolute fidelity to God. Solomon, in his wisdom, penned proverbs and songs, yet his greatest test was his own kingdom's endurance. As he contemplates the complex weave of his reign, marked by both wisdom and folly, the shadows of division loom large, promising a future fraught with uncertainty for the nation he sought to elevate. As Solomon's chapter closes, the kingdom of Israel stands at a crossroads. The splendor and wisdom of his reign are overshadowed by the burdens he imposed on his people and the spiritual discord sown through his compromises. The assembly at Shechem, meant to solidify Rehoboam's claim to the throne, instead becomes the breaking point. The tribes, weary of heavy taxes and forced labor, plead for relief, their spirits worn and hopes dimmed. Rehoboam, ignoring the council of elders to lighten the burdens, follows his peers' advice to intensify them. His fateful words, "My father made your yoke heavy, and I will add to your yoke. My father chastised you with whips, but I will chastise you with scorpions. Echo ominously, sealing the fate of a united Israel. Jeroboam, seizing the moment of discontent, leads 10 tribes north, forming the separate kingdom of Israel, leaving Rehoboam with only Judah and a fragment of Benjamin. The once great kingdom, united under David and built up under Solomon, now lies divided, a nation split by hubris and hardship. This division is not merely political, but spiritual, reflecting the deep fissures in the nation's identity and covenant with God. Each kingdom now follows its own path, their stories diverging dramatically, with prophets rising to challenge the kings and guide the people back to their faith. In the aftermath of Solomon's death, the echoes of David's and his sons' tragic legacies resonate through the ages. The story of a family marked by profound wisdom and deep flaws continues to unfold, each generation grappling with the consequences of their forebears' actions. Thus, the saga of betrayal, ambition, and redemption continues as Israel and Judah navigate their tumultuous histories. As the landscapes of Israel and Judah diverge, their destinies intertwine with conflict and prophecy. Israel, under Jeroboam's rule, sees the rise of new religious centers in Bethel and Dan, efforts to cement his reign, but which lead the people further from their religious roots. In the north, prophets like Elijah and Elisha emerge as divine messengers, challenging the idolatry of the kings and calling the people back to the covenant made with their ancestors. Their miraculous deeds and harsh rebukes stand as a testament to their commitment to restore the purity of worship. Meanwhile, Judah maintains a semblance of stability under the banner of the house of David. Here, the temple remains a powerful symbol of unity and divine promise, even as the kings struggle with their own follies and external threats. Both kingdoms find themselves caught between emerging empires. Assyria to the north and Egypt to the south exert pressure, each eager to exploit the fractured Israelite state for strategic and economic gain. The threat becomes reality when Assyria sweeps through the north, capturing Israel and scattering its people, a fulfillment of prophetic warnings about their departure from faith. Judah, though momentarily spared, remains under the shadow of impending threats. Kings like Hezekiah and Josiah rise in Judah, enacting reforms and returning to the religious practices ordained by David and Solomon. Their efforts, marked by both success and failure, illustrate the enduring struggle to uphold a legacy marred by human imperfection and divine expectations. The story of Israel and Judah is a poignant reminder of the consequences of division and the power of faith. As the dust of centuries settles, the lessons of King David's family, with its mix of wisdom and folly, continue to echo through time, shaping faith, history, and the hearts of those who look to their saga for understanding and guidance.